That is correct. They remember basic things, but he couldn't remember what happened in the past 72 hours, said Dr. Marcassius. I see, I said. So that is why they woke up from their nap on the couch and they still function normally, said George. Correct, said Dr. Marcassius. Can I ask you a question which you are going to think is crazy, I asked. Asking me a question is asking me a question that I already think is crazy, but yes, answered Dr. Marcassius. Can you use the chlorophyll on me, I asked. Why? Dr. Marcassius asked. Why do you think? I asked. Because you want to forget what has happened? Dr. Marcassius asked. Yes, and so that way I know not to cause a security breach like that again, I answered. No, I am not willing to use chlorophyll on you because it was hard enough for me to use on Mom and Dad, said Dr. Marcassius. Well, I can't bring myself to use it on myself, I said. And I don't feel like using anything that I can't pronounce, said George. Where did you get the chlorophyll, I asked. CVS, answered Dr. Marcassius. Are you going to use it on yourself? George asked. No, I answered. Okay, well, let's head back to Robbins-Og, said Dr. Marcassius. That's all I wanted to talk about. The train ride back to Robbins-Og I know was a struggle for me because Dr. Marcassius had to use chlorophyll on my parents, which makes me upset. I wanted to cry the whole way home, but I couldn't because I didn't want to embarrass myself. Hey guys, I am going to my room. Please leave me alone in there, I said. I then fled into my room, then shut the door, and began bawling my eyes out because of all that has happened. It was about an hour, then my dad came in. Hey, so, said my dad. Get out, please, I said. Why? Because I am just upset right now. Why? I don't really want to talk about it. That is unhealthy. I don't care. Well, I'm not leaving until you tell me what is going on because I love you. I am just stressed. Why? School, I lied. So why did you not say something to me until now? Asked my dad. I don't know. Maybe you should speak to your school counselor. Maybe you should suck my dick and leave me the fuck alone. Valerie, Sam is not coming to dinner tonight, said my dad. My dad then shut the door, which is actually what I needed. What's going on? Dr. Marcassius asked a few minutes later when he entered my room. You using chlorophyll, I said quietly. Why? I had to do what I had to do. I just am embarrassed by this whole thing with me being in jail and stressed out about it too. I'm sorry you feel that way. Well, why did Mom and Dad need to have George? Because they had 2 kids already, and Mom was already in her late 30s when George was conceived, and was 39 when George was born, I asked. Don't ask me what Mom and Dad do in their free time, said Dr. Marcassius. But why? Why? Why is it that George had to be born? Just wondering, what does he really have to do with why you are upset right now? We're doing this because of Mom's mobility issues that I think George caused. So you came out that or project which you caused a security breach on or caused by Mom's mobility issues, which appeared when George was born? Yep. Then how that doesn't mean it was George's fault. Why? We don't know if there was a connection between George's birth and Mom's mobility issues. Said Dr. Marcassius. Well, I think there is, I said. Remind me, why? A woman's body weakens when she's pregnant. If she rolled off bed right after she gave birth to George, it probably wouldn't have healed, thereby making her injuries worse. I see the correlation, but I don't see how it is George's fault. Well, then whose fault is it? Mom's for giving birth at home and not in a hospital. Then why are you doing this project? And I thought you used to blame George too. I did used to blame George, but that I matured. Also, when we're doing this project to save her is because we love her, and if we save her, everyone living in Robbinsog will live something called a better life, yelled Dr. Cassius at the end. Or Marvin came in. Marcus, are you doing okay? Or Mom asked. Yes, Mother, I am doing fine. Okay, I'm just calling to check on you. Just a reminder that I don't want to hear you yell here in the country of Robbinsog, said her Mom. Yes, Mother, I understand, said Dr. Cassius. Or Marvin shut the door. Did you just see what you made me do? Asked Dr. Cassius. You chose to yell, I said. Because you drove me. Driving someone to do something bad is a bad choice among the person who is driven to do it. No, that's not how it works. Yes, it is. No, if you have mental issues like we do, Dr. Cassius said, that's still not an excuse, I said. Why? Can depressed people get away with breaking the law because the law makes them happy? Because breaking the law makes them happy? No. That is what I mean. I see. Do you agree with me? Oh, I could just see where you were coming from. That doesn't mean I agree with you. And you don't have to. I was just wondering if you do. There was a pause as I was trying to catch my breath. I'm sorry if there was just a fight between us, I said. It is fine, said Dr. Cassius. I just don't like it when you shift positions on that stuff. Do you want to start another fight? No. Actually, I do if it means we get to talk about this. Okay. When you shift positions it is upsetting and confusing to me, I said. Sometimes it happens unintentionally, like right now, said Dr. Cassius, but it is rude. Yeah, well, sometimes being rude is being right. No it isn't. Why? Because it is still mean. I know, but who cares? See, now your mental issues are returning, I said. So are yours, said Dr. Cassius back. He actually is a little bit right. You are right, I said. I know, said Dr. Cassius. Just a little bit. No, not just a little bit. I'm right because it is happening to us both. I know, I said. You see, we're more alike together than either of us, or with George, said Dr. Cassius. Maybe that is also why we have issues with him, I said. I wish we didn't, though. So do I. Look, we all have our differences. We are going to need to work past them, especially if we are going to need to use George to help us solve the riddles on our trip to Orlando, said Dr. Cassius. I know, I said. Even if we aren't as close when we get older, he is still our brother. He is just different he is just different he is just difficult to be with. I know. Our dad then came in. Dinner time, said our dad. I have calmed down, I said. Yeah, we were being pretty rude earlier. I think you should stay in here, said our dad. Then so am I, said Dr. Cassius. Fine, said my dad. Our dad then brought in chicken marsala without mushrooms. Here was your dinner. Enjoy. Our dad then joined our mom and George for dinner. What happened between you and Dad? Dr. Cassius asked. I don't want to talk about that either, I said. Okay, so what do you want to talk about? I don't know. How about Dad, because he is forcing us to eat in here tonight? Okay, so what about Dad? Have you felt he has become more stricter lately? Yes. You know, that he was on to us before you brainwashed him, I asked. That's why I brainwashed him. However, when I did it to erase his memory of recent events. There is a chance it did not get rid of that because he could have been thinking about what we've been up to for a while, and the thought of it is glued with him. Same with Mom, answered Dr. Cassius. let me ask you this. If they were on to us, is that even okay? Is that even not okay? It absolutely is not okay. However, if they suspect something but don't say anything about it, that is fine. I see. Mom and Dad are on to us, though. Are you going to have to use chlorophyll again? If I have to, just don't use it because of me. I said if I have to. Why? We can't let them know anything until the time comes. We try to save Mom and figure out who the return is. How do you know if those two things are correct, I asked. I just think they do. They do? Why? Dr. Morcassius asked. Because do you have evidence of it? No, but think about all of what the term the return could mean. It could be the return of happy days, which means the return of our moms' lives. So this is all something made up in your head because you claim that two things are connected when they are not, because studying that blood stain in Mom's bedroom had no connection to the return when I studied it, I asked. Now Dr. Morcassius was really beginning to get angry. That's how I feel, and yes, it is a connection I made up in my head, said Dr. Morcassius. So how do you know it's correct, I asked. Did you feel correct the day you got high on peppermint? Yes, that is how. But you don't eat peppermint. I do with my candy cigarettes. How many of them are peppermint? These days, not all of them, but I make them be the majority of my lot, said Dr. Morcassius. I see, I said. Would you care for one? After dinner? Why after dinner? I don't think the peppermint would be a good idea to mix with our food. I see. We then finished our chicken marsala. After that, I began laying on my bed enjoying a peppermint cigarette.